Hey, what's up, guys? It's James, the Texas Mortgage Boss, and today I am interviewing Escrow Officer Extraordinaire Gabby Hussey right here, Frontier Title. Today we're going to talk about 3 misconceptions of title insurance, and we're going to get started right now. Come on in. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Texas Mortgage Boss Podcast. This is James J, and today I am joined by Gabby Hussey. She is a escrow officer with Frontier Title, and I am really excited to talk with her. So, title insurance is one of these things that a lot of people are really unaware of really what it is. So today we're going to talk about 3 misconceptions of title insurance. So, if you're in the process of buying a home right now, or if you're planning to buy a home sometime in 2022 or beyond, you're gonna need to know what this is, and Gabby's gonna help us dispel these misconceptions and get some clarity around this. So, how are you, Gabby? First of all, that's number one. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm awesome. So, tell the people first and foremost, like, give a little bit about your background.
Sure.
Because I know you've been around. You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. Of course. So, like James was saying, my name is Gabby Hussey. I've been in the title industry for over 13 years. Believe it or not.
Yep.
I love title.
Yes.
It's one of those crazy industries where you either love it or you hate it.
Yes.
But
I think all of us in this business,
yeah.
from you
Real
guys
estate.
to mortgage to real estate, it's just it's an awesome business. But it can be very stressful, and you guys, of course, are the last. You get to take the brunt of everything, good or bad. So you guys are super special. You really have to be special to be on this side of it, because really, when people are having a not so great experience, which happens from time to time,
Right.
You guys get to hear it, and you get to see all the ending of it. But
That's right.
ultimately, you also get to give keys, which is
Right.
nice. So
And the money.
yes, and the money as well. So. You guys are very, very pivotal in what we do, obviously, what we do. But we're going to get into some of these misconceptions, because I've been in this business 18 years.
Oh, wow.
And title insurance is still one of those things that people are like, what? Title? Okay, whatever. They just know they have to have it. So we're going to give you guys 3 misconceptions. So we're going to start with myth 1, or not a myth, actually just a misconception. So the first thing is, what is title insurance? What is it?
Sure.
And we'll start there.
Okay, sure. So when people think closing, they're buying a house, the title company is just the place where we come and we sign papers,
Yep.
we get the keys, we get the money, and that's it.
Yep.
But more importantly, what we do is we issue a title policy to both the buyer and the lender,
Right.
of course, if there's a lender involved.
Yes.
And most people don't know what that policy is and what protection they're getting.
Right.
So the owner's title policy is a protection that the buyer gets that protects them against anything that protects their asset, their property,
Right.
against their ownership, against anything that happened to the property prior to them owning
Right.
the property.
Yeah.
So an example would be taxes from 5 years prior to them purchasing the property.
Yep.
Forgery that was done on paperwork
Mhm.
that they didn't know. Another example would be unknown heirs.
Yes.
The property, there was an owner 10 years before you owning the property that passed, and there was an heir that came back in the picture
Yep.
2 years after you purchased the property saying, hey, wait a second,
Right.
that's my house.
Right.
What do you mean somebody sold it?
Yep.
So that is a protection that you get with the owner's title insurance that is given to buyers at closing. Well,
Yep.
at closing, it's paid for at closing,
Right.
but they don't get it in the mail about 2 to 3 weeks after closing. But
Yeah.
it is effective as of the date that they purchase the property.
Yes. So if someone purchases a house, and that example, and for you guys again that are in the market buying right now or will be at some time this year, this is super important. So that title policy, if somebody comes back after the person moves in 2 years down the road, that title policy covers them. And so for you guys, what happens in a situation like that if that does happen?
So what happens is, so at the time when they purchase, when the buyer purchased the property, we are guaranteeing to them that we did our due diligence, that we did our research, and we confirmed that the seller for this property is the record owner, and that every lien that is affecting the property at the time of closing is paid off.
Got it.
So if something comes up in the future, then they would contact our company. We would take it up to our underwriter, and our attorneys would get involved in getting everything settled so that the buyer doesn't have to pay for anything.
Got it. Got it. So the second misconception I want to talk about is who pays, because this is a crazy market, obviously, and the seller right now doesn't want to pay for anything. So talk about who pays, and it obviously it's something that is negotiable, but talk about typically how that works as far as who's paying for it.
So that is the misconception, that the seller always pays for the policy. But like you were saying, with the current market, it is something that is negotiable. The buyer can pay for it. The buyer can say, hey, if the seller's saying I'm not paying for it, then the buyer has to pay for it. The buyer can also direct, okay, if I'm paying for the policy, I want Frontier Title to close my transaction.
Correct. Yes.
So yes, it's negotiable. The buyer can pay for the policy, the seller can pay for the policy, or it can be split.
Right.
It can be split between the buyer and the seller. So it's totally up to the parties on what they decide.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what you said, so the policy, the title policy, yes, it's negotiable. This market is pretty much, it's a seller's market. We do know that much. So yes, buyers are typically having to pay to it. But what I wanted to piggyback on is, you as a buyer, if you're paying for it, you can decide, because we know in the reality of this, typically the seller is going to determine initially, this is what title company we want to use. Now keep in mind, if the seller's not paying for that policy, you choose. It is not up to the seller. So keep that in mind if you're looking to buy this year, that it's your decision. You don't have to go with what the seller and the seller's agent wants to do. I want to make that very clear. If you're paying for it, absolutely, you decide where you want to go. So that is a very important point. So make sure you call Gabby. You want to close on a house this year, call Gabby.
Yes. Oh, and then to add, sorry, I almost forgot. So there are 2 policies that are issued typically at closing. If there is a lender involved, then the lender also gets a policy. So if there is financing involved, then the buyer is responsible for paying for that loan policy. So in the state of Texas, the state gives a credit, or I don't know what the right term is. I can't think of the term right now. But the buyer pays a reduced fee for that loan policy, which in the state of Texas, it's only $100. So as long as there are 2 policies being issued, a simultaneous issue is what we call it, then if the seller is paying for the owner's title policy, or the buyer, they pay for the full amount of the owner's title policy. The loan policy at that point is only $100. Will always be $100.
Got it. So the third misconception is, how much is it? And I don't think there's one answer for how much there is. So for people that are looking to own this year, or looking to own in the upcoming year or next year, whatever the case would be, how much is insurance?
Sure. So that's the third misconception, that the title company sets the amount. So people think that they can shop it. And unfortunately, no. The rates are regulated by the Department of Insurance for the state of Texas, and they're the same across the board all over Texas, and they are based on the sales price.
Awesome.
So the sales price is $200,000. Your policy, you're looking at about $1,300. Round about that amount. Now for the loan policy, like we were saying earlier, it is always going to be $100 if it is a simultaneous issue, meaning you're purchasing a house and you're financing.
Got it.
It will be $100, and it will be a buyer fee because it is for the buyer's financing.
Awesome. Okay. So if you guys are looking to own a home in 2022, it doesn't matter necessarily where you go, but what does matter is service. That's a big differentiating factor for you guys versus some of the other title companies that are around. And other thing for you guys just to know, so if you're in Houston, or the surrounding area. You guys have more than one title company.
We do.
So it doesn't matter where you're at. Call Gabby, reach out to her. What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Sure, people. You can email me. You can text me, call me. My phone number is 281-824-5056. My email address is ghussey@frontiertitletexas.com.
Awesome. So there it is, guys. Misconceptions. There's more than 3. Trust me. There's more than 3. We just gave you 3. So if you've got more questions about title insurance, call Gabby, reach out to her. She's a great resource. Frontier is a great company to work with. I've worked with you guys before, and it's been always nothing but professionalism. So if you guys are looking at getting into a home, you get a choice. If you're the buyer paying for the policy, you choose. Keep that in mind. Reach out to Gabby and Frontier Title. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel, mortgagebosstv.com. Put in the comments, what did you learn today about title insurance? Anything? Do you still have questions? Send us a comment. We will respond. And thank you again, Gabby, for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Take care. We'll see you on the next video.
Bye.
Okay, so what is homeowner's insurance? I see, I keep saying homeowner's insurance. What is...
Microphone check, microphone check, microphone check. Check, check, check.
You got it.
Let me go get some water. I don't know why I'm so nervous. It's that darn camera.